Welcome to Gameonysus Weekly, your one-stop shop for video game news, keeping up with the biggest stories so you don't have to. I'm your host, Janet Garcia, and today we're talking about software updates for PlayStation and Nintendo, Diablo Devs reacting to company controversy, and recapping the THQ Nordic event. All these stories and so much more on today's episode. Starting with the PS5 system software update, which includes new UX features and customization options, 3D audio for built-in TV speakers, and M.2 SSD storage expansion. Here are some of the most highlighted features. Control center customization, in which players can customize their control center more freely by rearranging or choosing which controls to hide or unhide at the bottom of the screen. Changes to GameBase. Players can now easily view and write messages to friends and parties directly from GameBase in the control center. Game library and home screen updates. If you have PS4 and PS5 versions of the same game installed, they'll now appear separately in the Installed tab of the game library and on the home screen. Each game's title now also clearly indicates its platform. PlayStation Now has a resolution selector and connection test. PlayStation Now subscribers can choose between 720p or 1080p depending on individual game to accommodate the preferred video resolution for game streaming. A streaming connection test also helps them identify and troubleshoot any problems with their connection. There's now 3D audio support for built-in TV speakers. You can set it up where it takes sort of the acoustics of the room and adjusts it accordingly. And there's storage expansion. PS5 players around the globe can expand their storage capacity with an M.2 SSD, a type of high-speed solid-state drive that can be installed in the PS5 console or PS5 Digital Edition console. But you do want to make sure you get the right one, so definitely check the PlayStation site for the performance and size requirements, which they have outlined. PlayStation Remote Play app and PlayStation app enhancements include as follows. With the PlayStation Remote app, players have enjoyed the ability to remotely stream and play PS4 and PS5 games, switch between games, and browse their console's menu on any compatible device connected to their broadband network. Now players using the mobile app for iOS or Android have the option of using a mobile data connection when Wi-Fi is not available. Broadband internet with at least 5 Mbps is required for PlayStation Remote Play. For the best experience, we recommend a high-speed connection, etc. To help manage the amount of data used through mobile connection, players can select their preferred video quality for mobile data streaming. You can also view share screen broadcasts on the PlayStation app. Starting next Thursday, September 23rd, a PlayStation app update will begin rolling out globally and give users the ability to view their friends' share screen broadcasts together. To start or join a party voice chat on your mobile device with a friend who's playing on a PS5 console, and then ask your friend on PS5 to start sharing their screen. Please note only players on PS5 can broadcast via share screen. Other things worth noting included on the blog. Under new gaming and social experience customizations, they have new accolade type leader. Following an online match, players can award others with a fourth accolade type leader, which is visible on players' profiles. Leader is described as leads the way, makes the call, crafts the plan. There's also now automatic capture of personal best videos. When players compete in challenges for a better time or higher score and set a new personal best, a video clip of the action will automatically be recorded. Players have direct control over this functionality via their captures and broadcast settings. There is a new trophy tracker, which lets players quickly access up to 5 trophies per game through the control center. There's also some PS4 console enhancements, including the ability for players to view their PS5 trophies on their PS4 profile and trophy list. Players can also view other players' PS5 trophies on PS4. On both PS4 and PS5 consoles, party owners now have the ability to disband a party without having to remove players individually. So definitely a lot to be excited about. For me, as someone that doesn't necessarily use PlayStation Now or like the streaming kind of components of it, for like remote play, I would say the thing I'm most excited about is being able to further customize the game base as well as updates to trophy tracking. Because I just think the card system is a really cool idea, and I think the more they can utilize that base and how those cards function, the more enjoyable the PlayStation 5 experience will be. Obviously, I think the biggest update here is the expanded storage, but that still has like a lot of layers to figuring out, and you gotta like open it up and everything. So I don't know when exactly I'll be upgrading my storage. I might wait a little bit longer, but I think that's probably the most significant update that's here. And these are just also the things that are highlighted on the PlayStation blog. There's like little additional details that people are finding out as they sort of explore the UI and the intricacies of the settings more. So be sure to do that update and update your DualSense controllers as well. You should get a prompt to do them, and you just need the USB cable to just connect them and do those updates really quick. And speaking of updates, the Nintendo Switch got an update as well. It's funny because the PlayStation blog had like, a video they made for it and like a blog post where they like break down the details and like talk about, what these enhancements mean. And on the other end of the spectrum, like Nintendo just has like essentially like these patch notes that they kind of just drop onto their site unceremoniously. But, info is still conveyed regardless. This is version 13.0. And starting off with probably the biggest aspect of this update that just sort of shocked everybody, Bluetooth audio support was added. Headphones, earbuds, speakers, and other audio devices that connect with Bluetooth can now be paired with Nintendo Switch family systems for audio output. However, Bluetooth microphones are not supported, so if you're trying to use it for comms, you're still going to need to use like an adapter. For some reason, up to 2 compatible wireless controllers can be connected to the system while using Bluetooth audio. Bluetooth audio cannot be used while local wireless communication is active. Depending on the Bluetooth audio device, there may be some audio delays. And then just for more information, they have a how to pair and manage the Bluetooth audio devices. I do know not every single like headset works for it, but I do know the AirPods work for it as I've tested those. Update dock was added under System in System Settings for the Nintendo Switch and the Switch OLED model systems, allowing for software updates to the Nintendo Switch docks with a LAN port. Dock software updates are not available for Nintendo Switch docks without a LAN port, and thus that feature was not added to the Nintendo Switch Lite. Maintain internet connection in sleep mode was added under Sleep Mode in System Settings. When the setting is enabled, systems with wired internet connections will maintain internet connection even while in sleep mode. This allows for software and add-on content to download to the system while the system is in sleep mode. The setting is enabled by default. When the setting is disabled, the system will connect to the internet only periodically, which decreases power consumption and delays downloads while in sleep mode. The method to initiate calibrate control sticks in system settings was changed. From system settings, go to controllers and sensors, select calibrate control sticks, then fully tilt the control stick in any one direction and keep it tilted for a few seconds to begin calibration. Users can now view whether their wireless internet connection is using the 2.5 GHz or 5 GHz frequency band under connection status after selecting internet in system settings. And for this one, again, I think the obvious win is the Bluetooth headphones. It's kind of wild that it's taken so long. A lot of people were sort of frustrated with the fact that obviously there's probably things they did have to do on the back end. I'm not saying it was necessarily easy or no work, but that they could kind of flip a switch and suddenly, oh yeah, there's Bluetooth support, something that people have been wanting since the Switch came out. It just seems weird that it's taken so long for that to appear. It also seems odd that there's no option to use a microphone when having that. It feels like, okay, this is good, but still sort of lacking a little bit. But ultimately, I am excited just at least to have the option because admittedly, that was like the most awkward part of using the Switch on the go, where I would still need to use like a massive pair of headphones because they would also need to be wired. I mean, I could get like smaller ones, but like by default, the only wired headphones I have at this point are like my huge streaming ones. It just was odd to have like these really cumbersome headphones with like a slim like on the go console. So just the option to connect my AirPods makes things so much easier for when I am gaming on the go and I want to use a pair of headphones. Hopefully we get more things that people have been asking for and things that aren't even that fancy added to the Switch as the next year or years go on. But yeah, it does beg the question of why was this not there initially. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we just get more stuff at this point. And continuing with things we want from the Switch but won't really be getting, the Switch has gotten a price cut, but it will not be going outside of Europe. For this, I'm pulling from Tom Phillips's write-up at Eurogamer with the headline, Nintendo has no plans for Switch price drop outside Europe. Nintendo won't extend its European Switch price cut to the US, the company has confirmed to Axios Gaming. On Monday, Nintendo reduced the price of the original Nintendo Switch by €20, down to $259 in the UK and $269 in mainland Europe. In a statement to Eurogamer at the time, Nintendo UK said the change was due to currency exchange rates, as well as the impending October 8th arrival of the Switch's new OLED model. Now, a Nintendo of America spokesperson has confirmed the company has no plans to adjust the original price of the Nintendo Switch in the US, and Axios Gaming Stephen Totillo stated the price drop was, quote, just for Europe. This isn't completely unexpected. Currency conversions had seen the relative UK and European prices for the original Nintendo Switch among the higher end of those offered globally, so this week's price cut was something of a normalization. What this does mean is the 350 OLED will arrive with a $50 price difference in the US compared to the original Switch model's $300 and the Lite at $200. Cool to get the confirmation that, this price drop isn't coming and that you shouldn't expect it. And at the same time, I think the price of the OLED being higher, besides the fact that it is offering something additional and it is like a better model, it is the best model of that product. It's also like, okay, if there isn't enough of a different, like you want to entice people to get the OLED and reducing the price of the Switch, like you don't need to do that when you already have like the model set up where like the cheapest and the worst one is the Lite, and that tracks. The middle one is the middle one at price and also at what it offers, and then the high end one is the high end one. Like it's already sort of set up in that way. Do I think we'll eventually get a Switch price drop? Sure, but I feel like that'll be probably fairly far away and not like super relevant. So yeah, I mean, I think best case scenario is like getting good sales and good bundles. I think especially as the holidays come up. Diablo 2 Resurrection is right around the corner, marking another big release from Activision Blizzard. With that in mind, here's what the team had to say about it. And for this, I'm pulling from Stephen Totillo's write-up over at Axios with the headline, Diablo developers speak on game and company issues. The article reads, the creators of Diablo 2 Resurrected say people should, quote, do what they feel is right when considering whether to buy next week's big release from Activision Blizzard. Why it matters. Resurrected is the first game from Activision Blizzard since California filed an anti-discrimination suit against the company, largely over sexism, harassment, and other workplace problems at Blizzard, where the Diablo series was created. It was definitely very troubling to hear these types of things. Resurrected design director Rob Gallerani tells Axios, referring to the misconduct allegations, and we really want to support our colleagues and our coworkers. Between the lines, the remake is primarily being made by Vicarious Visions, a studio in upstate New York that has long worked on non-Blizzard games and was not implicated in the suit. But the allegations still cause the team to self-reflect, Gallerani says, which involves studio management reaching out to employees to ask what could be done better. We heard a lot of really positive things, but I don't think that we ever get a pass on that, he says. We always need to keep asking. The controversy also triggered a scrub of the original content of Diablo 2 for any problematic references. Names and quests are being changed in other Blizzard games, but Gallerani says the check found nothing. Details. The remake wasn't expected to be controversial when it was announced in February. 2000's Diablo 2 is a beloved fantasy classic that lets players team up with friends to hack through legions of hellish foes while collecting ever better loot. Gallerani refers to the project as a double-decker cake of 100% of the original game's code, tweaked only for the remake's online and security systems with a new visual engine on top of it. Changes include new looks for the game's characters, including its female Amazon warrior. Her original, more sexualized design has been criticized by some, including a longtime Blizzard fan who once publicly challenged Blizzard over its Victoria's Secret approach to female character design. A lot of those points of view weigh very heavily on us, Gallerani says. Though he says her revamp for the new game was primarily due to an effort to make all the characters look more like warriors who battled hell demons rather than people who rolled out of a nightclub. The bottom line, some long-term fans are now hesitant to support Activision Blizzard games, demanding the company meet employee demands for reform. And again, this is one of the many ways that we have seen, will see, and continue to see the ways that this lawsuit are going to impact the game industry, marketing, potentially purchases. And I, for one, think it's really cool that these studios sort of made the stance of, hey, do what you feel is right. It is true that they're sort of in a separate lot to a degree with Vicarious Visions involvement, but I think they easily could have mentioned anything else. Like they could have said, oh, well, we're not really involved, and like we really hope that you can, I don't think they would have outright said, still buy our game, but they could have implied it by saying something like, the team worked really hard and we really hope that in these times, blah, 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 and, sort of still focused on pushing the game. But I think just saying, do what you feel is best. I'm sure that the people involved, at least, well, I guess I don't want to say I'm sure, because I do think while a lot of conversations have happened around, okay, well, the developer is definitely going to want you to buy their games. I think these are like big teams that work at big companies. I could actually see some people feel that way. And we have seen instances from developers where they're like, we hope this game flops so that changes are made. Usually that's more of like a crunch thing, but I do feel like that's not out of the realm of possibility for people to have mixed feelings on how well they want the game to sell, especially in this specific time that we're in. So I just really appreciate the humanity of this response, and I hope people take it to heart, because I know this is a conversation that I'm constantly having with people, and even in just coverage spaces where I feel like there is, at least to me, more leeway on like, okay, well, we're here to like provide the service of game criticism, and part of that does involve like playing the game and doing that work, versus if you're a fan and you're just kind of a consumer. But even in those conversations, there have been hesitancies on covering Activision Blizzard games. We've seen different outlets kind of take different approaches, whether they're integrating the lawsuit to all their coverage, whether they are, doing their coverage differently. Something that I haven't mentioned before on this show is Holly Green's preview of Diablo 2 Resurrected over at Paste Magazine, which headlines, "This is not a Diablo 2 Resurrected open beta preview," and she sort of goes into discussing what it means to cover this game in this era, what the franchise has meant to her mixed feelings on all these things, and it's just like a really nice, reflective piece. It's funny because I went to it like kind of hoping that, I hope you like give me an answer, right? Like I feel like all of us are seeking an answer, and the truth is there is no perfect answer to how to handle the situation, but I like how she sort of delves into the internal conflicts that come up, just like all these different feelings that come up for her as someone in games media. So I think it's a really interesting piece. I will link that down below as well. But again, I'm just glad to hear them have, a response to this and really be acknowledging it in a way that feels really genuine. And I again, side with the developers in this case. They mentioned do what you feel is right, and I think at the end of the day, that's just what you need to do in terms of purchasing stuff too. I don't think you're necessarily evil for playing the game still, but I do think that a lot of us are pausing to consider, and I think that consideration is worth having always when you're a consumer who is aware of injustices occurring. Last episode, I mentioned Firesprite being acquired by PlayStation, and now we have a bit of insight into what they're working on. This comes over from Matt Kim at IGN with the headline, "New PlayStation studio Firesprite is working on a, quote, new AAA narrative adventure," with the subhead, "No word on whether the game is for PSVR." The article reads, Firesprite, a UK-based game developer recently acquired by PlayStation, is hiring a writer for a new narrative adventure AAA title. In a job listing posted on their website, Firesprite is looking for a writer, quote, "for the development of an ambitious, unannounced AAA title. The job will require the writer to create compelling character and story, and an ideal candidate is someone who understands how to construct a branching narrative." Although Firesprite is best known for its PSVR work, having developed games like The Persistence and PlayStation The Playroom experience, Firesprite managing director Graham Ankers told GameIndustry.biz that it's not a guarantee the firm will exclusively work on VR games now that it's joined PlayStation. "The philosophy that we have is to really innovate and create on any platform, whether it's VR or non-VR," Ankers said. And it's just cool to get that little insight into what the studio has going on. Again, a new AAA narrative adventure, that doesn't let us know too many aspects of it. I do think the branching narrative could be a nod to maybe like different ways a story could go, like something that is way more heavily narrative focused, because I do think the word narrative gets thrown around for PlayStation games a lot, which are very much known for their story. But I think there's a difference between a narrative adventure where it's highly story driven and choice driven versus an adventure game that just happens to have an interesting story or a more thoughtful story attached to it. So definitely too soon to really start visualizing what this would be, but I am interested to hear more about what this team is working on, as well as the other studios PlayStation has recently acquired. And now let's talk delays. Rocksmith Plus is delayed. Here is the update that was tweeted out from the official account. To ensure we provide the best guitar learning service, we have decided to delay Rocksmith Plus until 2022. We'll use this opportunity to incorporate user feedback from our closed beta. We are convinced that this new release plan will give us time to deliver a smooth experience for all guitar and bass lovers. Dying Light 2 was delayed as well. I'm pulling from their official Twitter account, which has a similarly worded post, with the mention that they have now removed the release date to February 4th, 2022. And I believe it was originally slated for December. And lastly, Battlefield 2042 has been delayed, with its worldwide release now being scheduled for November 19th, 2021, with updates on the open beta coming later this month. And now for event recaps. THQ Nordic had its 10th anniversary, and here is every game announced. And for this, I am pulling from Matt Kim's summary at IGN. There will be a remake of the original Destroy All Humans 2, and it will be a full remake that will be from the ground up, but maintain all the old voiceovers. The original Outcast came out in 1999, and now there is finally going to be a sequel, Outcast 2: A New Beginning. The description of this game reads as follows on Steam: explore a breathtaking alien world of Aldefa, support the local Talons in their struggles, and fight your way through fast-paced battles against invading robot forces in this third-person open-world action-adventure sequel to the 1999 cult classic. There was a look at Expeditions Rome, which, again, pulling from that Steam description, you determine the destiny of Rome as you conquer foreign lands and navigate political intrigue. In this turn-based RPG, directly fight with your party of Praetorians, guide your legion to victory, and choose your own path in a story where every decision matters. MX vs. ATV Legends was shown off. The pitch is as follows: race your way to victory on bikes, ATVs, and UTVs in MX vs. ATV Legends, featuring massive new open environments plus a career mode that lets you experience all the risks and rewards of becoming a world-famous professional rider. Become an off-road racing legend in your own right. Your time is now. Superpower 3 is also coming soon. This is a modern geopolitical sim in a planet Earth setup. Rule the world or challenge your knowledge about demography, economics, military strategy, as well as political issues across the globe. Compete with or against other players, or just try to do better than the real-life politicians. Jagged Alliance 3 was shown off. The pitch is the country of Grand Chen is thrown into chaos when the elected president goes missing and the paramilitary force known as the Legion seizes control. Hire mercs, meet interesting characters, and fight in a tactically deep turn-based combat in this true successor to beloved franchise. A brand new SpongeBob game is coming, SpongeBob SquarePants The Cosmic Shake. Here's the pitch. Wish granting mermaids tears in the hands of SpongeBob and Patrick. What could go wrong? Sure, the very fabric holding the universe together could come undone, opening portals into wild wish worlds. But that's nothing our favorite sponge can't handle with the right cosmic costume. So I don't know if this is going to be like SpongeBob What If edition or what's going on here. And Elex, not really sure how to pronounce 2. Was shown off. This is the sequel to the vintage open world RPG Elex. Jax must once again unite the free people of the science fantasy world of Magellan against a new threat, the Skyanides, who want to change the face of the planet forever. And that's everything that was shown off at THQ Nordic's event. I don't think I even need to say that these aren't really my purview here. Not really anything I'm looking forward to from this one. Definitely a niche event. But hopefully, if you're out there listening, you found something to get excited about from the lineup that is here. Moving on to the For the Free section, one of the biggest surprises, Deltarune Chapter 2 has dropped, and it is free just like Chapter 1 was. The gap between chapters has been literal years, but here we go. You can play it on Steam or on itch.io, which is to say it's on PC. So go check it out if you have not already, if you're interested in that sort of thing. I did play through Chapter 1 years back when it first came out. I really enjoyed it despite not liking Undertale, which is kind of weird. So if you're someone that also isn't into Undertale, I think this could still be worth checking out. Of course, I know there are people who would prefer to just wait for the entirety of the game to be out, but again, that will probably take years, so it's something that if you're interested in, I would just go ahead and play it, because it'll probably be a while before the full thing is out there. And those are all the stories we have for you this week. Thank you so much for watching over on youtube.com/Gameonysus. Be sure to like, subscribe, and tap the bell, and for listening on podcast services. Be sure to subscribe on the platform of your choice, and if possible, leave a review because it helps the show a whole lot. And as always, a huge thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. You too can join over on patreon.com/Gameonysus, where you can get early access to this show, as well as a bunch of other options for rewards. We have things as low as the $1 all the way up to the $25. And as always, I will see y'all here next time. Bye.